Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Captain Interview Podcast. My name is Sam Skewer, the Commissioner, and usually we have Bryan Benware obviously hosting, but Bryan, this has become somewhat of a tradition every year now. You ask me to host the Astros Captain's Interview Podcast. Obviously, Bryan is our podcast guru, and he's been doing some great content for all of our podcasts in the off season, including all these captain interviews. And Bryan, you are back for the Astros captain interview. So thank you for joining us. How you doing, Bryan?
Good, buddy. Happy to be on the other end of a podcast for once. It is fun doing this one with you. I never quite know what to expect because I know what's going to happen with all the other ones, but then mine, I pretty much leave up to you what you want to do. So just excited. Excited for the season. We're getting closer and closer, and just ready to see all the guys and get back to playing some wiffle ball. So
yeah, it's wild that we can say that I keep saying this every time, but season 21, our wiffle ball league is old enough to buy alcohol. So pretty crazy indeed. You know, we want to thank 1356 Public House, our presenting sponsor for the SWBL again in season 21. And they were our presenting sponsor in season 20. And we are back for the Friday night festivities at 1356 Public House. Can't wait for that coming up on Memorial Day weekend. And Bryan, we inch closer. And let's first start, Bryan. This is your 10th year of wiffle ball, and we were talking before this and you had no idea, but this will be your completion of a decade of playing at the Blur. What are some of your early memories from back when you started in 2014 with the Cardinals and then obviously taking over the Astros? So talk about what it means to kind of be a part of this for a decade.
That's crazy. I had no idea this will be my 10th year. It's been great. I've developed some friendships with a lot of guys who, obviously didn't know me. I didn't grow up with anybody here, which is a big foundation for a lot of the guys. But I've been accepted into this community and have formed some really tight bonds with a lot of the guys. So, obviously that stands out. But, thinking back to the early days, I was initially signed as basically a fielder only.
Yeah.
For the Cardinals, got a few at bats, was always asking you for more at bats. We had Jeff Bertram on the team for a while, made the playoffs the first couple years and then would lose. So that's how it went with the Cardinals. But
what a down franchise.
Yeah. I mean, you and Brett,
probably the biggest disappointment franchise in the history of the league for sure.
Probably. But yeah, it was, I've had some good years. I've had some really, 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 really bad years. Had a lot of turnover, but it's been nice the last couple of years having the same squad, having a foundation, having a core group of guys, and hopefully we can just start putting it together. I know that we can play well. I know that we have talent. We just gotta get over that hump and get out of our own way.
Well, since you've had the established roster that you do have, after all the turnover, like you talked about, your team hasn't lost, more than 6 games. You've always gone 4-6 or 6-4 the past 3 years with this core squad that you have. And overall, your record as a franchise, you're 20-50 exactly in 7 years, 20-50. Have a playoff berth. You yourself have an all-star appearance, and a lot of your other players have had all-star appearances as well. And you've been winning major awards, Manager of the Year, Franchise of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. You've had Platinum Hands. You've had Rookie of the Years. Your franchise has covered a lot of the gamut. And it's one of those franchises right now that people say is always there, right? Always on the cusp. You guys are 1 game away. You're a couple games away from making playoffs. If one moment sometimes changes it. And one thing about your seasons, it seems like it always comes down to a couple games that you lose by 1 or 2 runs. Has there been talk about that and finishing games and making sure your team can get over that hump? Because if you finish those games, you have winning records the past 3 years.
Yeah. There hasn't been a lot of talk about it. It's we tend to move on to the next game and focus on what we have to do versus thinking, man, we did this or we left these guys on base. I mean, we've also it's wiffle ball. And I think Chris Metter said at one time, it's a weird ball with holes in it and you hit the ball in the wrong spot and you hit a rocket, but it goes right back to the pitcher. And just crazy things happen. We had the most recent one comes to mind, the amazing play against the Expos last year in game 1. Like, just all around on that was unbelievable. It was an amazing play by them. But like, when I'm rounding third and Jimmy's sending me, like, we're both thinking like, just get halfway, and you'll score the tying run, and it doesn't matter. And so we just had some things go that way. Yeah, I think last year our run differential was -7, so we lost on average by less than a run in every game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been right there, and we've also had some fortunate things go our way in the past. But yeah, we haven't really focused on that. But really, I think it's coming down to just remembering our guys, just put ourselves in the best position. If we're constantly just doing the right thing and passing the bat, like, I think that we'll get over it. Our pitching's really solid. Our fielding has obviously improved with Cole winning platinum hands, and we have reliable guys in right field. So yeah, I think we just need things to go our way a little bit, and need to just give ourselves a chance.
We'll break down your roster next, and I know I got the guys behind me on my Zoom. If you're watching on YouTube, you see their team picture behind us. All but David Olderman is missing your team here. And you're right. Your pitching is solid. Your fielding is solid. Your hitting is getting there. It seems like guys are getting hot at different times. You had a great season last season from Jimmy Stout and Cole Layton at the plate. And, Cam's always is that moment, that breakout going to happen for him? And he's still waiting for that, huge year that I know he expects from himself. And I know everybody on your team expects from him as well, being that leadoff guy for you. And then you also have Keaton Adams, who's a former All-Star. Yeah. And then David Olderman, who is one of the most storied pitchers and POs in our league. And I know he also hit for you too, and hit well. And you as a manager, you're no slouch yourself. Just 2 years ago, you had 2 at-bats, batted 1,000 with a 4,000 slugging percentage. Like, you can always remember that moment. Yeah. But you have the pieces, and you have the fielding rankings recently came out. The pitching rankings recently came out. And you guys still kind of sit middle of the pack. People are still wanting that proven record, despite, Cole Layton winning platinum hands. And like I said on the social media, it's the lowest that a reigning platinum hands winner, the lowest that a team has been ranked with a reigning platinum hands winner. Has your team talked about that, or just kind of put the chip on your shoulder? I mean, this is a roster full of guys that are hungry to prove themselves and continue to prove themselves in this league.
Yeah. We kind of have talked about it. I sent a message in our group chat and just said, hey, did you guys see the rankings? And so, everybody said, yeah, we've seen it, but we don't care. Like, we like being the underdog. We like being underrated. We play better that way. And so that's the approach everybody else has taken. But then I chimed in and said, I agree with you guys, but I'm sticking up for you. So here I go. Let me pull up the stats here real quick from last year. I don't know how you can have the platinum hands winner be 5th, and the team only have 4 errors from every other position, and you end up in 5th.
Yeah.
There are teams that are ranked higher because of Chris Metter, because of Brian Kenny, but had more errors as a team. How that makes sense. Now, I get that a lot of rankings and people vote, the way they vote is based on longevity. So
and future too, like they're guessing.
I'll give you that, but I just can't imagine, like, if you're saying the platinum hands winner, and he's right now, Cole is in 2nd as the people who are predicted to win, so above Brian, and I just don't see how you get to 5th. I could give you 4th if you want to go that low, but honestly, like, I feel like we should be a top 3 team in fielding, hitting, whatever. Fine. Pitching, I thought was the worst one, because let me get down here to some of the pitching stats. Did you know?
Oh, it's written out.
Yeah. David Olderman had an ERA of 7.50.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. The only players better than him were Scott Poley, but he only pitched 10.5 innings.
So may not even qualify.
Right. Of course, Jackson was up there. You were up there, and Brett was up there.
Yep.
He averaged I can't, it's hard to look at it on here. When I was looking at it, David only gave up 1.5 runs per inning.
Yeah.
Yeah, per inning,
Which
which
is
was third in the league. He was more efficient than basically everybody but you and I think Gus. And then you add in Cam, who also had an ERA under 10. We lost by -7 total run differential for the season, which is really on the hitting. Our pitching kept us in games. There's more things. Home runs, the guys gave up less home runs for pitchers that pitched a minimum of 20 innings than about 90% of those players who qualified.
Yeah.
So the fact that everybody's like, oh, our pitching's 6th or whatever ranking came in makes no sense.
And the Marlins were ahead of you too, right?
The Marlins were ahead of us.
Yeah.
Spencer and Lowe were ahead of us, though their stats were worse. The Expos, because of one pitcher who went 1-6 on the season, it's like people think of strikeouts only. And by the way, these guys weren't slouches in strikeouts either. It's like if you can get strikeouts, you immediately get up there. And I get that helps, but Chris Metter would tell you, and Spencer Bogad would tell you, just get it in play because we're going to get the out. We're going to force an out. So
and you have platinum hands behind you.
Yeah, you have a platinum hands winner behind you. So, I mean, I didn't do the math, but I think if you were to combine those two guys' ERA, we would be, I think, third in the league behind you and Brett and Scott and Gus.
So and that was going to be my next question. Do you believe you're third or second? Because Scott only had 10.5 innings, and Gus, I mean, they're smart about how they pitch it though, and they
I think that's good management
almost every game. So
I think it's good management. So I would still put us third in the league. If you want to again take into longevity and everything. Now David's had the longevity. Everybody knows how good of a pitcher he is, and everybody knows what Cam can do. So you could say I would give you fourth. I mean, I think even who were the teams below us?
Okay.
A's, Rockies, and Rockies were the last one, the A's, and the White Sox.
Okay. So, yeah. So
no, White Sox were ahead of you. I think.
That's what I thought because of Jackson, because of one pitcher.
Maybe the Marlins were below you then. Maybe the Marlins were ahead of something else.
I'm pretty sure the Marlins were ahead of us too. So I wonder if we came in 7th. Who knows? But either way, none of it makes sense to me. There's no way we have that low of a rotation. And I just think that people only think about, hey, this team made the playoffs last year, and they take that into account. And that's why the Marlins are higher in certain categories. And so when you take longevity into it, you've got David, you've got Cam, who's been doing it. Those guys deserve to be higher, in my opinion. I am biased and all of that, but there's no way we should be that low. Third, fourth, I won't argue with that.
Well, speaking of rankings, we also came out with the top players rankings, and you had 3 of your members, and it was the second highest amount of top 21 players. Now, mind you, all of them came in between the 15 and the 21 range, but still, you have 3 top 21 players, and you basically could say 3 top 20 players if you wanted to. Cam came at 21, and he barely made it. I'll let you know, like it was very close between him and Vorbeck for getting that 21st spot. And I think that shows, people are still expecting a little bit more of Cam too. Keaton has also been ranked on these before. I think he was 17th at one point a couple years ago after his all-star season. And obviously your highest ranking was Cole. Do you think that these rankings were where they should be? Do you think Cole should have been a little higher? Jimmy Stout obviously with an incredible year, but for him to finish at 18, he had the same numbers as John Callaway did when you were on the Astros, and John was ranked above them. So, were any of these guys ranked too low, or do you think that, it's just glad that they got recognized and your squad is full of players that can be future All-Stars?
Yeah, I for the most part agree with where they fell. Again, there's a lot of angst. I don't know if that's the right word. Uh, there's a lot of strong opinions on how voting should happen. What should be what voters should take into account on where they do rankings.
Yeah.
I think Cam would agree with you that he had a pretty down year for him, and especially for what he's expected to do. So 21 feels right, but I was happy he still made the list because again, he is such a solid pitcher. Cole coming in at 15. There were such great hitting performances last year, and I think that's the majority of how people vote is taking that into account. It is a hitting league. So, the Platinum Hands helps, but I don't know if it propelled him enough up. So, I think I personally voted him higher, but I also take into account major award winners each year. So that goes into my voting. But I'm still not disappointed with where he fell. And Jimmy, Jimmy's been gone for a while, so he's had 1 year. And while I expect that success to continue, coming in for the first year back after winning comeback player of the year kind of feels right. And I just think, honestly, there's nowhere to go but up. So
yeah. And it seems like all of your guys could have a breakout season. And how great would it be if you had 3 of your guys that all of a sudden had a breakout season together? If Jimmy and Cole just continue on that trajectory up, and then you have Keaton or Olderman or Cam that can break out with them, having 3 guys that you can rely upon, 1, 2, 3 in your lineup is huge. And a lot of the more successful teams will have, like the Marlins, they had a dynamic duo that had just 2 MVP seasons last year that helped them propel to the playoffs. And Sam Rudnick had a pretty average year, and then their 4th spot was interchangeable. So it's the same thing with the Marlins too. If Sam can have an incredible year and those guys can continue upwards, then they can stay there too. So I feel like you guys are in that same boat of, you're right on the cusp there of breaking out and having championship style seasons. Let's talk about season 21. Obviously, we're coming up on Memorial Day. It's always exciting. And you guys have always been, in the running for franchise of the year as well. You do a lot of great stuff off the field. You're always around. You're always willing to help out. That's why you're always in consideration for franchise of the year. Is franchise of the year something that you guys always look forward to? Do you plan anything for it? You guys are a fun franchise. Everybody likes hanging out with you guys. But is there anything you guys plan for, or is it just kind of, what, we're the Astros, come and join us for all the fun stuff afterwards and kind of just keep going and rest on your Astro laurels?
Yeah, it's probably more of the latter. We don't plan out anything like I'm hearing other franchises potentially do. We just try to let our personalities kind of shine. We've got a great group of guys who really enjoy just being around and socializing with people and willing to help and do whatever, might need to be done. We try to keep the beard arts going so that there's always somebody that if they're walking by or nothing to do, they can come by. We try to grab guys to participate with us. But yeah, we're not really planning anything. I think if we get franchise of the year, it's really more based on our character. And we'd rather it be that way. We don't want to be gimmicky or anything. We just want to kind of just be true to ourselves and true to the league. And so that plus, I want to be at the big boy table. I don't, as Spencer like to point out, I want to be at the big boy table. I'm more focused on winning and just putting our team in the best position to accomplish that. I think our goals on the field goals take precedence over any kind of shtick that we want to do or anything like that. So,
well, speaking of the big boy table, it seems like, last year, our division that we had with the Orioles, Astros, and A's was one of the most competitive ones. Both you and the Athletics finished 4-6, and then the Orioles took it at 8-2. So the games were competitive, and it just so happened I think it's only the second time in history that we've done the division draw that the exact same division was pulled. So this is the second time it's ever happened in our history. We have the Orioles, the Athletics, and the Astros in the corner pub and grill division. And, what was your mindset when that happened in the division draw? I know that you were not personally there at the division draw, but I know you were hearing it and you were getting the text from your team. But talk about it. Is it a good thing? The Orioles went 4-0 against the Astros and the Athletics in the division games. It's going to be tough to repeat that, right? It's always tough to beat a team twice in a season, 3 times in a season, but then to have the same division and roll over again, and you're going to see those same two teams, two games again. Talk about what that mindset is for your team or for you as a manager heading into the games against the Orioles and the Athletics.
Yeah. I mean, your division games are always important, right? Whether you end up 2-2 or, that's, I think, the minimum to even have a shot at making the playoffs. Having the same teams is just, it's interesting. I haven't really thought in the grand scheme of things of like, is this going to help us? Is this going to hurt us? I think it could do both. I think the fact that these teams saw us twice last year, and I can't remember what we did against the A's, to be honest with you, last year, but we might have split with them, which would have put us at 1-3, or we might have beat them both times. I can't remember.
So overall, your career record against the A's is 3-6.
Yeah.
And then
I would guess that we split with them then based on that. But yeah, so I mean the A's are another team who people are really down on for some reason, but I think that they've been to a championship. I know that was quite a few years ago, but they've got players who can put them in contention. Paul is amazing. Vorbeck, is a really great hitter. I think they just, and Steve can have great years too. I think it's kind of like us, where if they put it together at the same time, they can be competitive. And so we're not taking them for granted. And facing the Orioles, it's tough, but I mean, really any of those top tier teams was going to be tough. So it didn't quite matter. Personally, I like that we got the Orioles.
You've seen us a few times.
I've seen us. I've played with you and Brett, and I've faced you a lot. Our guys have faced you a lot. I've faced Brett a lot. Maybe you'll throw Peter against us once, but I highly doubt it. Apparently because he's such a great pitcher, he made the graphic. So
he's gonna be up there.
Yeah. So so I think there'll be competitive games. I think we definitely have the potential to split with you. We've randomly caught lightning in a bottle usually once a year, where it's been the team that nobody thinks we can beat. We beat the Yankees in our first year as a franchise. The Royals we beat. We've beaten the Twins in, I think, their championship year. Like, just randomly catch lightning in a bottle. And play a great game. And so we're going to need something like that, but it'll be fun. I just think it's fun, the fact that the history between these teams is going to just build more and more. So
the battle of the orange, right? We started last year, the Orioles and the Astros battle for the orange. So you guys will hopefully get your revenge as well this coming year. And the rest of the schedule for you guys, obviously from interleague play, is pretty well balanced. Like, you guys have, timing wise, it's pretty well balanced, from day to day. This is one of your first times that you've had the 1-4-4-1 schedule. You guys have usually had kind of a mixed bag of schedule. And I know last year, starting off with game 1, the only win from the Expo season and starting your season off, I know, but you guys kind of getting a break from that game 1 stuff and focusing just on opening day and getting it started. Is there a game that you guys are looking at on your schedule that is, this is kind of the moment that might turn our season around? Are you hoping that opening day you just come out with a win? Because as you've said before, the Astros have never won on their first game of the season in 7 years. So is that one that you just have like circled a bunch of times in red to get your season started?
Yeah, it's that game. I mean, I think I said last year, like, the most important game for us is the next game. Right. So obviously that's the next game. That's the first game. And it happens to come against our rival in the Expos. We want revenge from last year. But you know, I'd really like to get that monkey off our back, so I don't say that anymore. I would like to go into the second game not kind of in the hole. And I think if we come out and we have a solid first game, that can really help with our confidence going into the rest of the weekend. You know, off that tough loss last year, it's just, and then having to think about it for 2 weeks. It's sometimes tough to just wonder, like, are we in for it again this year?
Yeah.
But if we can start out hot that game and then really just focus on the next game and what any adjustments we need to make if needed or anything like that. So that's the game I have circled right now. I will point out that, you know, that last game on Monday against you guys could be important. It does seem like on Mondays, whether we're playing or not, a lot of things matter on who's playing.
Or it's late Sunday or early Monday. It seems like every time it seems like you guys are always watching and waiting for a game on Sunday, or you're watching the Monday games and waiting. So it always matters for you guys.
Yeah. Last year we were watching the Marlins. We needed the Marlins to lose, I think, their last two, and they won both of them.
I
know. Which was heartbreaking.
And then the game against us didn't matter last year.
Yeah, at that point, you know, but I forget the other year, maybe it was the year the Expos went on their tear.
And you were watching, and you were like,
how? Watching, and I think there's a video of Cam like just losing it.
They beat the Braves. They beat our Braves team.
So
on that last day.
Yeah. So it always, Monday is very anxiety ridden for us usually. And, you know, it would be really nice to get to Monday. And I think the 2 years ago when we made the playoffs, you know, it was the first time we actually like relaxed because we knew we won the division. So we knew we were in, no matter the outcome. So, yeah. So,
and that first game is against the Expos.
Yep.
And it will not be the Expos' first game. So, you know, maybe you won't have to worry about the lightning in the bottle that they catch on their game one they've been doing. But they will be playing you guys. It'll be a really fun matchup. It is the first game for opening day. And I can tell you, you know, it's probably for you guys, you've never had the experience of going to the Friday night social with a win.
Yeah.
And I think for you guys, like, if it just makes the Friday night experience, I think, a little just easier. And like you said, you can relax a little bit and you're not thinking in your head, is this going to happen again to us? So, you know, I'm rooting for you guys to get that monkey off your back for that first
suck
win.
It, Kevin.
And, you know, the Astros Expos rivalry is always a fun one. And that's one of the reasons why it is the first game of opening day, because it's going to be the first one that we highlight, you know, have the live stream going for you guys. So it's always a fun matchup, and I'm sure it'll be Jimmy versus Cam or Jimmy versus Olderman on the mound. So we're really excited, no matter who you guys pitch, to see who goes against Jimmy. But so that is yours. Let's talk some predictions. You know, obviously, while these captain interviews are coming out, it's going to be paired with your preseason power ranking. Now, you've seen the fielding, the pitching, and the hitting rankings. But for you guys, you know, you fall in that middle of the road. You fall in, like, you're on the cusp of that playoff. But you personally, we know with this release of this podcast, we know where you are in the power rankings. But you personally, without revealing it, because the viewers, they will know where you are already ranked, but where do you think that the Astros will be at the end of season 21? Maybe let's do like pre-playoffs. So pre-playoffs, you know, it's the end of the regular season. Where are you guys going to end up? So where should your preseason power ranking be?
I think we'll end in the 5 spot. I think we'll be the last playoff team this year.
So anxiety on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, that's tradition, right? So, So, but I think we'll be the 5 seed. I don't, you know, honestly, I've not looked at the preseason rankings or anything. I don't think that's where preseason will be ranked, but I think that's where we'll end up.
Okay, and then so obviously, with you predicting yourselves as the 5th, are you saying that the Orioles will win the division, or you think the A's will sneak in there?
No, I think it'll be the Orioles.
Okay. So you have the Orioles down as your division for the Corner Pub. Now, what about the other 2 divisions? Let's talk about those. Let's give your prediction. Let's go through some playoffs. You know, obviously you've already given one of your wild card spots, but let's start with your division winners. Cardinal Blinds division. You got a tough one. Twins, White Sox, Rockies. A lot of these guys, every single team has championship experience. Every single team has playoff experience. Rockies on a down year, they're hoping to make a tear. And that's so crazy. We talk about this every year, but we've been talking about how teams, if they can get hot and get 2 or 3 people hot at the right time, I mean, any team can go on a run. Rockies, Expos, same way. Like if Jimmy can get hot and have a Cy Wiffle season like he had in that 2020 Cinderella run, then they could do some serious damage too. I mean, any team, you talked about the Athletics, you talked about the Marlins, you talked about your team, the White Sox are right there. And if they can put it together with that roster, anything can happen. And then there's the tier 1 teams that will make a run. So talk about this Twins, White Sox, and Rockies division and pick a winner for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Twins. I don't feel like you can pick against them. And I still feel like while I think the White Sox are good, I still think that they have a few question marks even after last season. I think John would agree with me that they've got to make sure what the plan is actually comes to fruition.
Sure.
I don't know what to make of the Rockies. I know last year was an anomaly, some pretty bad performances that only feel like can go up. They're getting Grant back. He's the glue of that team.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like what's going to happen with them. But I just don't know, man. I don't know if they can turn it around that fast.
Yeah, it's interesting, that team, right? Because Blake, obviously, former multi-time MVP, and he's still a scary person to have at the plate every time you're pitching against him. And then, like you said, Brian Kenny had the worst season of his career. He can only go up, basically. Yeah. And then Jason and Adam, obviously being rookies, do they fall into that sophomore slump or do they improve? Because, they are getting better. They're getting more wiffle ball experience in lots of different leagues. Chad Young had a very down year. He had his sophomore slump. And does he turn that around on the mound for them too? And obviously Grant returning. So you got to believe the Rockies are going to be better than 2-8. But if they're better than 2-8, then that makes this league a lot more interesting. If the Expos can improve on 1-9 and the Rockies can improve on 2-8, there's not going to be very many high win-loss records for everybody. But I think you're right. Twins are going to probably take that division. White Sox will give them a little run for their money. But Twins is who you're picking. What about the Ketting Eye Center division? We have the Yankees, Marlins, and Expos. Probably know who you're going to pick as your division winner. You can just probably say it.
Yeah, it's the Expos.
Yeah, exactly.
It's it's the Yankees.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is betting against the former champs. The Gus Skibby effect on that team was undeniable. It is not even a joke, not even like exaggerating. It was literally the best season of wiffle ball this league has ever seen. So will he repeat that? Probably not. So he's got to go down. But even a down year from that is still people's best seasons they've ever had.
Yeah.
So, and then you include Kevin Pulley and Sam Bakula having their best seasons in a long time. And then Scott, who can only improve. Team's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the divisions. And you picked yourself in the 5 spot as a wild card team. Who's your next wild card?
I think I'm going to take the White Sox in that spot.
Marlins missed the playoffs.
I think the Marlins missed the playoffs. I think that Jordan and Luke might cool off a touch. They were unbelievable last year.
Yeah.
And, I think while their pitching has gotten better each year, I still don't think that they have a guy that scares you, that worries you. So I just think that, and it's also like statistically, I mean, you think about these teams who have been bottom seeded teams who make the playoffs. The next year, they don't make the playoffs. The A's went on their run, didn't make the playoffs the next year. The Expos won their championship, didn't make it the next year.
Yeah.
The Astros, we made it, didn't make it the next year. And so I think just traditionally that's probably true. I think really for the White Sox, it's going to come down to that second pitcher, the guy who's going to, have to step in when Jackson can't pitch anymore.
Yeah.
And can they do enough to help them win games?
Yeah.
Because unless Jackson goes 6-0, which is pretty tough, especially because you're going to throw him against some really good teams too. Yeah. So, it's just that second pitcher is going to make a difference. Their fielding, we know what it can do. Their hitting, we know what they can do, and they have one less tree to worry about. So
didn't make too much of a difference, but
right, but
a
yeah,
little thinner.
yeah. So yeah, but I just think that they're going to do it, and the rest of the teams, I still think they're going to be battling for it, and I still think it could come down to with the Rockies, the A's, I do think could make a push for it. I mean, the I'm not saying the Marlins won't be pushing for it, but I just don't think they'll quite get there. So I'm going to go with the White Sox.
We say it every year, and it seems like we continue to say it, but it seems like this year is going to be the most competitive year of wiffle ball. And I think it mainly stems from the Expos and the Rockies and the thought that they could improve. Mm-hmm. So I think it could be a really competitive year if they steal a win from one of maybe even a top tier team. If the Rockies get a win from the Twins, in their division, or the Expos can sneak a Jimmy Nelson win against the Marlins, it could happen. And then all of a sudden you're looking at a much more even race and people getting a little scared for their playoff, chances. So I'm excited for season 21. It kind of enters and ushers us into a new era of our league. Same teams come back from season 20, kind of continues that continuity that we have. But I'm really excited to see what teams can do and how we can turn this around and how we can stop the Yankees from going back to back.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our final topic. And you always call this the hard hitters, the rapid fire questions. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to turn it around on the podcast hosts. You can give us a short answer. You can give us, an explained answer, however you feel you want to answer these questions. And we're going to get started. A lot of them have predictions. Some of them get to know you, but we'll see what's going on. I'm going to ask you the hard hitting question at the beginning here. And Bryan doesn't know a lot of these questions. So here's the first one. Which person on your team is going to have the worst season for the Astros? You can't say you. I already caught it. Who's going to have a season that they wish they could have done better?
Oh, that's not a fun question.
No, it's not. I'm going to see how this manager can spin it. Or maybe not the worst. The worst might be a bad word. I mean, you can say who has a season that, an off weekend, or who might have something that is just in their mind that, Cole's wedding planning. Maybe you pick Cole, who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Keaton. Just because depending on what's happening, he lately the past few years has been up and down. He's been streaky. He'll have a couple games where he's really good, and then he'll have the next game or two he'll go 0 for 4, and so then I have to change something up.
And then he's sitting cold more.
Yeah. So I think I would say Keaton would be potentially there.
All right. So
if I have to pick one, and it's more so that where he hits in our lineup, like the other guys are just going to have more opportunity to bounce back.
Sure. And is Keaton probably slated right now for your 4-hole?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's flip the question. Who's going to be the team MVP? And I'm going to assume. No, I won't ask the second part. Just tell me who's going to be your team MVP in season 21, and we'll see if my thought lines up with yours.
I'm going to say that our team MVP is going to be Cole.
Nice. Do you believe that he was your MVP last year?
Yeah, I do. I think he was our MVP last year. I think he wasn't statistically our best hitter.
Fielding makes a difference.
But it was still his best season in the league. And then obviously the Platinum Hands award, being able to force outs, create outs, have that security there in left field. I say it all the time, but the teams that win championships are the teams with great left fielders.
Yeah.
It's the least glorified, I think, aspect of our game. Everybody talks hitting first, then pitching. But, when you look back, aside from the Yankees, the Expos, and there was one other team. Well, the Yankees did it twice. So, yeah, aside from that, for the past, 8 seasons, the Platinum Hands winner, the Rockies.
Well, the Yankees, Yankees had two different left fielders in their
Right.
championship. So,
But those
they're
two
changed.
seasons and the
Brett for
Expos,
Expos. Yeah.
yeah. So, BK and Chris Met are
Dominating.
dominating. So yeah.
Okay. Let's change it up here. Let's talk some food. If you could, and you don't have to do yourself, you can just do your five other players. Compare, if you had a basket of fruit in front of you, compare each of your players to a type of fruit.
Okay. I will I will do okay. I'm gonna go with David as a banana.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
Lanky,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But refreshing. I'm gonna
Sweet.
Yeah, a little bit
A little bit
sweet.
of sweetness.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with myself as a plum because I'm very plump. Um I'm gonna go with, let's see, Keaton would be a peach.
Oh, he's a peach. You're right. That's a
He's
good
a
one.
peach.
Yeah.
Um,
That fruit
I'm,
describes it perfectly.
yeah, I'm gonna go with I think Cam would be.
Oh, I got a good one for him.
Oh, I think I'm gonna go with Cam as a lemon.
Oh,
I'm gonna make Cam a lemon because he's got a little bit of bite to him.
but he
He's
can
got a
still
little,
make lemonade.
but you mix it and you mix it, or you put a little bit with a drink, and he goes down smooth.
Yeah.
And he's also, there's a lot of dishes, like a lot of food goes, you use lemon and cooking with it, and he's just versatile and reliable. And then let's see, so I've done everybody but Jimmy.
And Cole.
Oh, and Cole. Okay, and Cole. Um, boy, this one's interesting. Jimmy would be.
I think back on your fruits, Brian,
I know. I'm trying to think of them all.
and give you some options if you want.
No, I think with Jimmy, I'm gonna go. Yeah, give me an option. Give me some
You got
options.
apple, pineapple. You
Oh
got
yeah.
watermelon. You got grapes. You got raspberries,
Ooh.
blackberries, blueberries. I mean, trying to think of some more off the top of it. You got nectarines,
Yeah.
cantaloupe, honeydew,
Oranges.
oranges. Mm.
Yeah, honeydew. Oh my goodness. Uh, I'm gonna go with Jimmy. I think Jimmy is a strawberry.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. I think that, again, reliable, versatile, sweet, um, enjoyable, and
And it took him a while. He was green for a little bit the past couple years, but then
yeah,
once you plucked him this year for the
yeah,
red,
yeah,
man, he made his mark.
yeah.
I like
And
it.
then Cole, I think I'm gonna go with I think Cole, I'm gonna go with a blackberry.
Okay.
Um, at least when we have blackberries at my house, my kids make messes with them and it's sticky. He's got sticky hands.
There you go.
So I'm gonna go that, plus, you know, he's got a little bit blackberries, you never quite know, are you gonna get a sour one, are you gonna get a sweet one, and so
He's
I
had some
think
down and up years. Sure.
down and up years, but I also think that, again, he's really solid two ways. And I like the sour and the sweet, and I like the fact that I get both out of the same fruit. So I'm gonna go with the blackberry for him.
Hopefully Cole doesn't put seeds in the Astros crevices of their teeth, because that's what blackberries do. So hopefully,
or he could just plant seeds for growth. We'll see.
There you go. All right, so let's move on from the fruit and talk about let's talk about some league things. Who is going to lead the league in home runs in season 21? Who's going to lead?
I'm not going to say Gus because he's the obvious answer.
Okay.
Just for funsies, but he's going to be there. I think I'm going to say dark horse. I want to pick a dark horse. Let's go with. There aren't really a whole lot of dark horses I'm thinking about now. I'm gonna say hmm, I'll actually go with you.
Thank you. But how many will the league lead be?
What did Gus hit last year?
27?
Yeah, I was gonna say 28, but
I don't think he beat the record. I think he tied it.
20
Maybe he was one short because his last game he didn't do well. So I think he was
24.
24. Well, if I hit 24 home runs, then dang, I'll take it. What about your team? Who's going to lead your team in home runs?
Ooh, Cam did last year.
Really?
Cam led the team in home runs last year. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be Jimmy.
Jimmy, love the answer. What about on the pitching side? Who's going to lead season 21 in pitching strikeouts? And you can't say Jimmy Nelson.
I wouldn't have said Jimmy even if you left that disclaimer out.
Wow. All right.
I'm
Past 4 seasons, been Jimmy Nelson.
I don't care. Screw that guy. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be Gus is a pretty easy answer again.
Actually, Gus did not have, I don't think he was top 3 or 4.
Really?
I think he was 5th.
Okay. Um, you know what? Let's go with Brett Spencer.
Love it. 2 Orioles. You're speaking my language in your division, Brian. Thank you. All right.
Not joyfully saying these.
What about your team? Who's going to lead in strikeouts for your team pitching wise? And people forget too, you talk about your pitching ranking. You have depth too. Jimmy Stout is no slouch on the mound himself.
Yeah.
So talk about, obviously it's going to be either Cam or Olderman. So between them, do you see them contending in that top 10, top 5 realm of strikeouts this year?
I do see him contending. I see both of them being able to contend in that. I'm going to say that I think Dave will compete. Will probably lead our team in strikeouts.
Love it. Okay. And you have Astros gotten together. We've seen some off-season pictures. You guys have had time together. You've been in a group setting, which is great. Gotten your kids together as well. But talk about without the kids, without the families, you guys go out. What's on the agenda for the Astros? What are you drinking? What's the official drink of the Astros when you get to the bar? What are you all ordering? What is the manager ordering around for everybody? Talk about your night out with the Astros and what you might be ordering at the bar.
All right. Our official drink would be a Natter Day.
Do they have this at bars? You might have to go pick some up. And then
we'll go to a BYOB place or something. Yeah. I would say for us, we would probably go get a pizza somewhere, maybe like Dewey's, start out.
Yeah.
And then from there, probably head to I would make them go to like a putt-putt place. We're gonna go hit in the cages.
I thought you were going to say I was going to make them go to the Fox Theater and watch a musical with me.
No.
Could you say make them?
I wouldn't do that. No,
I would love to see your team with you at a musical.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'd have to pick a really good one. Make them go sit through Cats or something.
Well, I got a musical question next, so beware.
Okay. So yeah, probably go putt-putt and then also get them in the cages, swing the bats a little bit. And then after that, I think we just head back to the house, continue having some beers, maybe break out the beer darts, maybe play some card games, just kind of take it low key after that. So
low key group indeed, and definitely fits with you guys' character and personality. All right, so the musical question I had for you, and I think you and I have actually talked about this. I think one of our answers is very similar, but name 2 roles. For those of you that don't know, Bryan Benware majored in musical theater, and he has done lots of different shows. I've seen him in shows myself. But Brian, if you could pick your 2 dream roles to play, 2 dream roles in any Broadway show, current, past, off Broadway, whatever you'd like. And I think one of ours is the same answer that we've said before, but name 2 roles that you would want to play.
I would want to play the baker in Into the Woods.
It's a good one.
And
have you been in Into the Woods before?
Never been in Into the Woods.
I was Cinderella's prince.
That's a great role. So when I was younger and less plump, I wanted to play that role. In
And
fact,
usually it's paired with the wolf,
yep,
but they had another guy in the high school, so they separated it.
yeah, yeah,
And
they
they
try to
usually
get
do that. I know.
participation,
Oh, I was mad. I was mad. I
that,
wanted to do it because
yeah,
Cinderella's Prince doesn't come till the second act, so
yeah,
I was mad.
yeah. Fun fact, by the way, about that role. So the guy who originated the role in the first show, Bob Westenberg, he
Yep.
runs the musical theater department at Missouri State now. And
Wow, I
in
did not know that.
fact, I had a role in a show he was directing that he fired me from.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. So he and I did not hit it off at first, but then we
Wow.
ended up having a very strong relationship.
Oh gosh.
But
All right,
uh,
roll two. Roll two.
roll two, roll two. I don't know.
I think I know what it is. You just don't remember
Go
it.
ahead and tell me what it is.
It's Jamie from Last 5 Years.
I would want to play that role, but I'm very not Jewish. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
well, my two roles is Jamie
yeah.
from Last 5 Years, and then Usnavi. Um,
Oh,
but I would never get cast in either of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Usnavi's a great role too.
From
But
in the
yeah,
high.
Jamie is a good one. That would be probably number two.
I think you and I have talked about that before. But yeah, fun fact for everybody that doesn't know, and people might know because Bryan Benware has been our national anthem singer multi-years before. Maybe we'll bring him back out for season 21. Who knows? All right, let's get back to the league. These are going to be three very fast answers to end us here. And you got to answer. I don't want any explanations either because I don't want to explain it. You've talked about all the teams. We've talked about their roles and everything. But let's go through this. First, who's your favorite team to play in a season? Who's your favorite team to play?
The Expos.
Expos. What is the final record for the Astros for season 21? Final record.
6-4.
And who wins the season 21 championship of the SWBL?
The Twins.
Oh, no, not again, Bryan. Not again. All right, that'll do it for our rapid fire questions at the end. And Bryan, we thank you for joining us, and we thank you for all the work you do for all these Captain Interview podcasts and getting these podcasts out. I thank you for taking it off my plate. You know, it's always fun to come back and do this one with you and occasionally get one in that I can, but it's great to have that off my plate. And I appreciate you taking it on, especially with not just the podcast, but with the videos and all the work you do with our front office. So you've been a delight to have on the front office. So thank you. We want to thank all of our sponsors as well. 1356 Public House, Cardinal Blinds and Shutters, Ketting Eye Center, and the Corner Pub, our 3 division sponsors, Doug Meyer and the Mo with Mojo. We thank Doug Meyer for showing out for the SWBL as well. Andy's Frozen Custard is back. Breckenridge Brewery, Daily Smokehouse, Spencer Gear, Chill Designs, Breck-X, Cool Bots, and Ever Dolce Vita. And we also are very excited to now be partnering with Four Hands Brewery as well. Shout out on August 26th. Please join us at Keener Plaza, and we will be doing a fun collaboration with Four Hands Brewery that day with some wiffle ball skills competition going on. Speaking of skills competition, we're going to have that back hopefully for season 21, along with our home run derby that we're going to get some people to make some money again. And then our always fun all-star game. We're getting rid of that alumni game. That took way too long last time. So, but we have a lot of things coming up.
They're all running around with canes.
I know. It was fun to see them all out there again, but yeah. Future episodes, obviously, thank you, Bryan, for putting all these on. We got all these captain interviews. We got our power rankings episode, and then season preview is always fun right before we get started. Game 1 will be live streamed May 13th, the Rockies and Athletics. So we're going to be able to watch wiffle ball on May 13th, weather pending, hopefully, but it's going to be live. We're going to watch one live. So we're going to get 2 weeks before the season starts. We're going to get a game live. So shout out to May 13th. We're going to be getting going for season 21. And then right after that, we're going to record the Orioles Expos game 2. It'll be a little bit different, Bryan. The video will not be as, long. It won't be as thoroughly thought out. I'm thinking 15 minutes max. It's going to be quick. It's going to be that last pitch like MLW has done before. The last pitch of every at bat is going to be the one that you see. And we'll still have the full video that we'll upload afterwards if people wanted to watch the whole thing, but it's going to be just a short, different type of edited video. So a lot of fun things happening for season 21. Bryan, anything you want to say to the viewers about the Astros before we end up?
Nope. Like and subscribe. Help us out. Get the word out. But no, nothing else. Just excited for the season to get here and ready to be back with all the boys playing some wiffle ball. So
It is definitely one of the best weekends of the year, and everybody looks forward to coming back. And we got a lot of returning players coming back and players that haven't been there in a while, a couple rookies as well that are going to join us for the first time at the Blur. So we're excited to get things started. Come out and join us for season 21. For Sam Skibby, that's Bryan Benware. We'll see you next time, folks.
See ya.